Well, hello everyone and welcome to Barefoot Minis. We got our first snow of the year last night, November 9th, and I think my favorite part about the snow is when I start giving the ducks their lukewarm water. You don't want to make it too hot because it'll give them wet feather, but you get it lukewarm. And they're so excited about that warm water and so grateful. They just splash and play in it, and that's what I like about ducks is they're just so excited about the simplest things. They just love water. It's just candy. It's kid on Christmas. It's so simple, but they love it so much. They don't have to fool themselves to experience joy. Doing on me. Hi, Amelie. Nessa, what are you doing? Don't do that in the hay. Nessa, what are you doing that in the hay for? Dove, look over here. Hi, Dove. Night. Hi, Vanessa. Mommy, you're so pretty. Jamie. Uh-oh, ignored. Hi, babies. There's a Dove and a Nai, a Nessa, a Jamie, and a Ami. My beauties. Hi, babies. Hello. So pretty. He's looking good. It's starting to sprinkle, so I got to get him in the barn for his grain. But he got a little jiggle. That's what we're looking for, a little jiggle. Important for an old man to not be too thin. An old man without effective teeth. Top line's still a little bit low. Not bad. Joe, you looking good? Let's see if he notices me. Of course he notices me. He thinks it's time to go in. All right, time to go in, Joe, buddy. Joe. Hi, Joe. You looking at me? Joe. Well, good work, Joe. And it's that time of year again where lice are a problem with miniature horses. And I've had this celebration spot on. It's basically permethrins, which is a synthetic form of permethrin, which comes from the chrysanthemum. But don't quote me on that. Look it up for details. Anyway, have an exam glove on, and I'm going to just put a spot between everybody's front legs, under their chest, to start to try to deter those lice. And lice are a very common problem in miniature horses and other furry breeds. It's definitely a problem. They just have so much real estate, so much hair to hide in, and they're carried in on all sorts of critters. People say that there's species specific lice, but if you have tons of birds in your barn, those Eurasian sparrows, which we call the spudsies, they carry in critters. Extra critters, unwanted critters. And the lice find a host. There's just so much real estate. You can't possibly clean the horses that well. I would like to get a vacuum one day, but it's just hard. It's hard to clean them well enough to keep the lice away, especially in certain horses. The compromised horses with the older horses or horses with health issues, the lice just take over. And some people say ivermectin, but lice are pretty resistant to ivermectin. They'll come to the surface of the fur, and after a few days, they'll go right back in to the depth of the fur and start breeding en masse. So I'm going to go and give each buddy a little bit of spot on in between their front legs. Also want to just encourage you, if you're new to miniature horses or horses altogether, I'm just so impressed. Because a lot of times when we're in it a long time, we get a little intellectually lazy and we stick with what we know. But when you've been in horses for a shorter amount of time, you really work hard, you really try to do your best, and you want to learn everything you can. So kudos to you if you're new at horses and just willing to learn. You're ahead of the rest of us that have been in it a long time. So exam glove, spot in between the front legs. It's probably an area that they're least likely to chew on, to get in their mouths. So here I go. Jesus loves you. Another thing this spot on treatment is great for is if you live in an area with a lot of ticks, you want to put this on your boots before you go hiking out in the woods or trimming brush. Just one spot on each boot. The ticks will still crawl on you, but they won't latch on. They're really grossed out by this stuff. So that's what we use it for, to help keep the lice off the horses and to repel ticks. But mainly I have not kept up with it as much as I should, because lice is such a big problem. Even in really clean barns. I got a horse from a really clean barn. They had a lot of birds, but it was a very well kept barn. And that's kind of where lice started in my herd. So, and also I never rotated my dewormer much. I just used ivermectin And just this past year, due to information I got from one of my mentors, I have started to rotate with Strongyta. Is really good. It's really helping. And between ivermectin, they're all growing their tails back, so their coats are improving. So if you just notice the dullness in your herd, sometimes it's good to rotate the wormer and switch things up, especially fall and spring dewormer. Jesus loves you. Hi guys! See these beautiful lavender Orpingtons? You guys may have remembered when I first hatched them at the beginning of this year. Actually, we hatched a lavender Orpington on Easter. So this is the whole flock, the whole family, and finally now they're starting to lay. And all our stars, which are a magnificent mixed breed, sex-linked breed, they lay huge eggs for great abundance for at least 3 years, and they start slowing down at 4 and 5. They're known to their first year lay as many eggs as there are days in the year, their first couple years. So, but chickens are easy, but it takes patience, because when they go through a molt, they quit laying. With less sunlight, they quit laying, and we don't use any artificial light because they will have a longer laying lifespan if you don't. So because of that, though, we get less eggs during molt for sure, and less eggs in the fall and winter. For sure, less eggs. But take a look at these beautiful eggs. The guys have only been able to eat an egg a day because they're rationing them. So they've been hungry for eggs for a long time. We even had to buy store-bought a couple times. So, which is really disappointing when you're putting premium feed into a flock of beautiful chickens. But some of these older ladies look pretty rough, but the roosters are past molt and the new hens are looking gorgeous. And of course the roosters, we won't go into what happened to them, but such is the life on a farm. Jesus loves you. White ducks. I walked past these guys on the way in and I pondered. A lot of people wonder why ducks. Well, they lay a lot of good, wonderful eggs. They're adorable. The water is the hardest part, and you have to make sure you keep up with the water and keep their pens clean. But I think my favorite wonderful thing about ducks is how grateful they are when you give them water. There's no animal more excited over water than ducks. So if you are dealing with a lot of ungrateful people in your life, or even if you aren't, they're so much fun to see how happy and excited and grateful they are. So chickens get extraordinarily grateful over food scraps. They're very happy and excited over food scraps, but ducks are so thrilled over water. And it puts a smile on my face every single day. So you're bringing out 3 gallons of warm water, lukewarm water, because warm water and hot water causes wet feather. But if it's lukewarm, it just thrills them to no end. Just the simplest thing. And they're so excited. Can you imagine if every day when we turn on the faucet, we would just be bowled over with excitement and gratitude over running water? We really should be. And ducks are kind of a good example. They give us a lesson in being grateful. So on the way in the house, I thought I'd stop by and talk about the ducks.